TLDR was really formed by a bunch of guys and girls who lived together in Hong Kong. And so I myself, I lived in China for a long time, speak Chinese. A bunch of the other people in the organization, they were in the finance sector or entrepreneurs in Hong Kong. And so Asia is really crucial to our mission. It's who we are as people, it's where we live. Beyond Blocks, really putting together a fantastic network of different events in the region, which are, not massively glossy kind of run and gun events, but like deep into the communities and very regionalized, and that's really, really important. So the idea of being in Bangkok and integrating with some of the people in Southeast Asia and bringing together that community is a really important thing. It's really core to our mission, and we love that it overlaps with you guys. Really, our mission is to build a financial services firm which is really specific for the crypto industry. And so some of those elements which are super specific to crypto, things around custody, security, and community, and then connecting global networks. It's very, very difficult to operate and think about crypto as it's existed for the last 3 or 4 years in traditional financial organization terms, which are highly localized, maybe dealing with one language or one particular culture or region. So we really tried to bring together global perspectives with some of the really core things which are really specific to crypto, like cybersecurity, custody, all of those things. We really grew organically from having some crypto assets that we were trying to manage. And I'm not a trading kind of guy. Some of the other early founders, they are kind of trading background, retired out of Goldman Sachs, that kind of thing. I come from, I was a lawyer in Hong Kong and the US, and then I went into startups. So I have an understanding on an operational side on building startups and that kind of thing. So I had more of an idea about ICO investing and what good teams and good projects look like there. But I didn't really have much of an idea about trading. And so suddenly, as all of these things came together, it's too much for one person to try to focus on their own. So we started working together and thinking about good decisions that we could make in the space. And quickly it became apparent that working with companies to really help them engage the sector, build their company, helping them think about strategy and their organizations was a service that we could offer in a way that other people kind of couldn't. There weren't that many professional service background people in the space, 2016, 2017. And so it became our kind of mission to help create more interesting companies in the space, to hurry adoption, to herald in institutional money. All of those kinds of things were really what we set out to do slowly. It started like this, we saw these opportunities, this vision kind of emerged, we realized what was really important. How do we, in a long-term sense, make money and friends and be involved in a movement which is really, really significant, and that's really like long-term infrastructure ecosystem development. So I think the most important one is communication. You have to be able to communicate very effectively across time zones through Skype or video conference or something like that. That is a very, very difficult thing to do while generating the soft networks, respect, accountability, friendships that you need to actually glue a company together. Because things are always stressful. You're always failing. You're always having problems which are either interpersonal or commercial or something like that. You are trying to raise money or you're beginning to fail or something like this. Teams experience a huge diversity of different things. And that's true of every startup, every organization on that kind of journey. Those soft networks which give you the strength and the reliability to push through those things are very, very difficult to generate. Communication, I think, is the capstone of that, but you have to follow up with really wanting to invest in those kinds of networks. I think that a little bit the same sometimes, those two different things, the most exciting things and the most challenging. I'm most excited about the future of kind of institutional money and the regular world coming into and integrating with the crypto space. So we do a lot of work with big brands, big consumer-facing, the world's most famous brands, and they drive adoption and users, and that's what they do. They sell products, they sell applications, all of this kind of stuff. Those guys are very interested in how crypto can help them engage and be relevant to, from a cultural point of view, the tribes of people, the different groups that they're trying to sell stuff to, basically, right? That is the bedrock of the traditional economy, and they're wanting to use these technologies and these interesting ways of interpersonal relation through technology to help achieve their goal. You've got the same thing happening in finance with the financialization of tokens and institutional money moving in, also very exciting. But that trajectory, that path, is something which is happening now. It's happening slowly or quickly, however you look at it. I think it's happening at a good kind of click. There are lots of regulators, there are lots of law enforcement officials trying to solve some of the questions which we all have, which are holding things back, and I think that's going to move very, very quickly. But you know, it's multiple years. It's a really long-term change. We are very careful in who we work with because of that long-term perspective. You have credibility and reputation. Those are very, very important things. They never go away. And once you destroy a brand, once you do something that creates like a legal legacy that you can't move away from, you're kind of toast. So we guard those things very, very carefully. I think the most important thing that we look for are things around empathy, emotional intelligence amongst the founding team, amongst the people putting together that project. And so because of the expansive set of things that you have to do in a crypto organization or a tokenization project, you know, you've got public markets, you've got community, all of these things. That is so many different things. But in a traditional startup, you can be laser focused on your product. You don't need outside help. You don't need partners. You don't need friends around the world. You don't need community managers in Korea, that kind of thing. So empathy, emotional intelligence, the ability to keep your team together, and then the ability to realize that, you know, to know what you don't know, and to find friends and people and build relationships with people who can help you on that side. You have to build that village before you can really fully realize some of the things that you have to outcompete or to become kind of a breakthrough success in this emerging world of, you know, tech companies suddenly becoming public companies, etc.
So you're basically looking for TLDR in other companies?
Yeah, you could call it, some people call it team. I think you can drill down a little bit further than that, and people with experience doing things, but it's really empathy and emotional intelligence. Like, how do you communicate with somebody effectively and solve their problem if you don't have empathy with them? If you're a sociopath and you're just like, or you're just only focused on technology and you believe that my great technology, everyone's going to love it because the product's going to be so, that's just not how companies work. That's not how social networks work. That's not why people buy things. People do things because they want to do them, right? And so if you don't understand why someone wants to do something, why they want to work with you, why they want to, you know, pull an all-nighter to finish this product or this sprint, then you're going to struggle to really gather them together in a significant way and create that community, that village, which is going to be the platform for your success. It's very nascent right now. There aren't that many, in the global context, there aren't that many people working on really great projects. There's a lot of noise, speculation, people trying to, you know, gather money very quickly and then not necessarily deliver on their promises. That stuff is just going to go away. Just like all kinds of hype cycles and emerging markets, early adopters, they kind of drop away unless they are standout. And people who have a different perspective and maybe more experience, and as the sector matures, you know, different companies and organizations come to it. So I think that, you know, the crypto industry, if we're talking about the public application of blockchain technology, that kind of thing, got off to a roaring start, and has generated a lot of awareness around the world and is bringing in a lot of interest. So it is maybe an accelerated time frame if you compare it to, say, the internet or automobiles, you know, back in the, you know, 100 years ago or so, because of, you know, our dense communication networks in the world and the amount of money flowing in. I think that we'll look back in 10 years at this period as one of lots of mistakes, rapid growth, but it will be a prodigious change in historical terms, right? We're not talking about 20 years to get to some kind of interesting ramp up after the dot-com bubble where you have Amazon and Netflix and Facebook. I think we're going to be talking about 5 years or something like that. But the key is really how do we parlay this excitement and everything into applications and use cases that users and consumers, are actually using. So for me, that means that they don't really see the blockchain, the crypto element. It's just I was doing this thing before and it worked, and now I'm doing this thing again and it seems to work better. But maybe that thing is also more accessible to Africa and India and the developing world, and is more inclusive and all of those things. It's very exciting.